All right, because why not, right? It's still the Wild West. It's still the first week, so you have to expect the participants to be bringing decks that they're comfortable with. Either they're comfortable with because they've seen others play it and they have the dust to invest into it, or they're going to use what little dust they have to craft the decks that they want.
Yeah, but looking at Enrico's lists, he seems to be the kind of guy that just looks at the meta game and then looks at what's working on the ladder and says, you know what, I'll play that and I'll play that. His lists here, Enrico, although his priest has been banned, this is actually Galakron, the priest, or at least the most recent iteration of it. He is going to be playing the Mozaki Tempo Mage and a Secret Rogue. On the other hand, Miko the Shiba here gets his Demon Hunter banned, which is about the same tempo list, but it just doesn't run the Glaive Bound Adepts. He is still running essentially Scholomance Academy's take on mirror classes, right? Like these are the two classes that like to buff their minions, and it's Libram Paladin and I call it Buff Priest. Is that
Yeah,
right?
I guess
Like they play quite the same.
Buff priest, because I would spoil it. This priest has the quest.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, if you complete the quest, get 15 HP healed, you'll be able to buff your minions with your hero power plus 3
3
3,
plus
and then you get a
3.
pretty good
Yep.
eye. You have the eye for talent with that obelisk.
It's going to be an interesting situation here because, again, you mentioned these two kinds of players, right? One
Yes.
is, hey, I have the dust. Why not? And the other is, you know what? Like this is what I have from the last meta. It's a combination, right? Really, because Enrico, we know that he's been around Hearthstone for quite a while now, and he's a very competitive player. I do know that he's brilliant. So him choosing these two decks really makes me think that, especially with Mozaki Tempo Mage, I have seen it on the ladder, and it is quite the menace. I am afraid more of that than I am of Turtle Mage, which is a whole other story.
Yes,
But
definitely.
it's the Rogue here that really is quite threatening because of how good Rogue, well, Garlocron Rogue, but nonetheless, how good Rogue was in the pre-Scholomance meta. So I am, for the most part, or at least preliminary wise, giving the advantage to Enrico here. But what are the chances here for Miko the Shiba? Percy, you've seen the lists, and you have some stuff to say about the Priest and even the Paladin, but what are his odds?
His homebrew lists are hard to gauge for me because you kind of know what he wants to do, but at the same time you don't, because he's trying to do too many things, right? He's trying to do many things that you're not pretty much aware of what you want to do
Mm-hmm.
as a with your deck.
Yeah.
But seeing here with Miko's buff quest priest with no buffs yet, we have the powered feast now.
There's one.
He'll be able to just he'll be able to keep this dormant minion alive because it's dormant, and he'll just fin out his hand, get some more cards for Voracious Reader.
Yeah,
And-
and both players here, I gotta admit, Percy, are off to great starts. They're doing what they really want to do when they begin, right? You do have the new legendary weapon for neutrals, right? Like this is what is this card called on the side of Enrico?
It's the Sphere of Sapience.
There you go.
Very
The
knowledgeable.
Fear of Sapiens. Essentially, it's a scry effect, meaning you
Yeah,
get to look at
scry.
the top card of your deck, and then you say if you want it or not. If you swap it out, then the weapon loses durability. But if you keep it, then you can just do the same thing turn after turn after turn. So what's cool about Enrico is he doesn't have to really worry until he needs the answer. Because so far,
Definitely.
Miko the Shiba, he's taking it slow.
Yeah, and he floated one mana because that just says to him, that just says to Enrico that he has a clunky hand, that Miko has a clunky hand.
Yeah.
But right now, with this Pokelt play from Enrico,
Ooh.
it's going to guarantee him the top end cards now, and it's going to be a pretty decent start for both players.
Yep. Although there is some value lost on that power word feast, but I can't blame him. That's essentially what you should have done. You've gotten rid of the larger minion on the board. Trade up, essentially. So yeah, Enrico here, not breaking a sweat at all. He's staring down a 5-7 and a 1-3, but these are essentially like low impact minions so far coming in from Miko the Shiba. So Enrico not in any trouble. The spear hasn't lost anything. It's still at a 0-4.
Exactly. And remember, the whole concept of your Sphere of Sapience is so that, and the Sphere Pokel combo is for you because you know how your deck is arranged now. You can now smartly scry, so to say.
Mm-hmm. All
I'm
right,
going
I
to
love.
scry here.
Yep, he's just looking for answers upon answers here, and I like how Miko is just all the more disciplined. He could have dropped the double healer, but he knows that he could be walking into a an early wipe, and there's no way you can draw more than up to 3 with even 2 voracious readers. So yeah,
Yes.
he's keeping this up, expecting the worst for his first reader. Possibly he could go into reader and power infusion later on and just make your devout pupil cheaper later on. But yeah, so far the fact that he has both of his readers already just makes his future as the less adept deck in card advantage all the more kind of bleak. Because
Yeah,
this
it's like having
this is the most card draws he's gonna have in a while.
it's like having 2 divine favors in your starting hand. You don't really want both of them. You only want one of them. And it goes to the same method as your 2 voracious readers. You're not gonna be able to draw with 2, of course. And right now, this is the way with that's just the way with the deck plays for this priest. And
Yeah.
with the other devout people drawn, it's going to be difficult to place them without all of your buffs drawn. We can see the difference between the streamlined draws of Enrico and the inherent random draws of the priests.
Yeah.
The priests here.
No, it's both that, right? I agree. It is quite random, but the fact is, you're right. Miko the Shiba's deck is just earlier you mentioned how it's just so aimed at doing one thing. You're clearly seeing that, oh yeah, this deck just wants to make a few minions big and then go from there. But with the way Enrico's answering back, it's just, yeah, I'll just freeze him or I'll hold him back. And then when I get Mozaki down, you're in trouble. So far, so good here for Enrico.
Yeah.
He's staring down these two minions for the past, 5 or 6 turns now. And he barely has a scratch on him.
He's showing definitely no signs of stopping here. Just freezing. That's why in HS replay this deck is also called a freeze mage, because you're just going to annoy your opponent with just multiple freezes. Your buffs mean absolutely nothing if you're just gonna get frozen every single turn.
Yep, they're gonna be quite large, and at this point now, possibly even wide. Look at this, he's making more minions, he's making more readers. 2 6-14s, right? A 7-9 on board too. That quest's not going anywhere. I don't think so. Not very soon. Not anytime soon. But Enrico now finally taking a few hits on his sphere, and I do think he is considering now the Blizzard. He needs to hit the Blizzard, or
Yeah, I don't think
I don't
there's any
know.
other play here.
Yeah, he has
Staring
several
at-
freezes. He
This
has
is lethal, by the
several
way. This is
freezes.
a lethal board, so he needs to freeze at least one of them to survive.
What to do?
Yeah, so we're now all in kind of a limbo of thoughts right now. And while we're thinking about that, I think we have, I think, we, you know, these dead air turns where you just are trying to think. It kind of feels bad. Discount both of the players are doing and try to
Oh,
think
yeah.
of your own plays.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I mean, despite Enrico being quite composed, like most definitely cannot deny this young man is in control of his next at least two or three turns, right? He does have the Nova, he does have another Blizzard in there. It just so happens that Miko is just keeping on the beatdown. Like, sure, there's only so many freezes you can do, my friend. And at least he now draws off the Voracious Reader. That's something. And he has a couple of Divine Shielders, but this does not stop the onslaught. right? Like he's just gonna keep going until Enrico finds a better answer. And there's a second Blizzard, he can make more, I'm sure. By the way, guys, while this game is going relatively slow paced, we are going to remind y'all of Chat Rally. Put in the chat who do you think is gonna win, and you get a chance to get some goodies for yourself. Special thanks again to Globe Virtual Hangouts, of course. Predator. This is the Alliance League 2020 summer. Of course, esports never stops. Here we go. Back to Miko Toshiba's side of the court. So he's saving that Psych Split.
Like he split.
He's
And
saving it.
you do know, as Nico, you have to be thinking. You know that your opponent has drawn into his 2 drops because you've already seen the Nobs Engineer. You've seen the Arcane Intellect. It's already done to the 2 drops.
I'm curious. Why did he not heal up? He could have used the hero power.
Oh yeah, I guess that was a mistake on his
It was
part.
a very small misplay, but it could matter in the future.
Definitely. But right now, I guess Enrico's just pulling the trigger. This scram session is just going to draw his entire deck.
That's it.
And would you say this is game? This is only what, turn... Is this exactly turn 10?
Turn 10. It's his turn 10. It's Enrico's turn 10. Look at that. Just frozen. Everything. That's
Wait,
it.
is it over? Are we done? Wait, huh? This is the beauty of the Nozaki. I call it a freeze OTK because you just grief your opponent by just freezing all of his stuff, and then you deal with this arcane missiles for a lot to deal with the entire board, and then you deal with the entire board again.
And you do it again. Look at that. 14.
And again, 14.
Yeah. Definitely gonna hit all of its targets on the mark. Let's see if it is lethal though.
It's lethal because if Arcane Missiles is 14, then that means the crossbows are both 15.
Oh yeah, for sure. There you go. Yeah, definitely. He has the evocation. I remember he drew another one. That's it.
Now 16.
Single crossbows. Mozaki, you madman. Enrico takes game number 1. Miko Toshiba though, he has again 2 decks that almost exactly do kind of the same thing, right?
Yes, exactly.
Although now looking at it, weirdly enough, this is weird coming out of my mouth now that I'm about to say it. Paladin has more consistent draw than Priest.
Right. Because they're with the removal of Power Word Shield, with the nerf to Power Word Shield, from a 1 mana give a minion plus 2 health and draw a card, it's now just a 0 mana give a minion plus 3 health. It impacts the evergreen set of the Priest such that it doesn't have the draws that it usually has. Thought Steal doesn't really count as a draw, and no one plays Thought Steal because you want to be drawing into your own deck instead of having to rely on your opponent's deck. So I do agree with you that this Paladin might prove to be a better suited to face this secret tempo rogue.
Yeah, but then again, even that is questionable because of how well armed rogues are these days, right? Especially this kind of list here. You have infinite value coming in from those secrets, and of course, you're still running the Greyheart Sage suite, so the rogue can just burst you down. So Enrico here is gonna make a run for the sweep here. Miko Toshiba, I guess that is our unofficial professional advice, right? To swap into the Paladin. I don't know, like, is that what we're going for?
Yeah, I guess so. And we're going into game 2 right in just a few moments. And if he doesn't go for the Paladin swap, tries hard for the Priest, he has to get his early drops. He has to be the one to buff all of his minions. He knows open deck list, he knows that no saps are on the board, so all of his swaps are going to stick. So if he goes for the Priest, all power to him to get his 1 drop, his 1/4 into his Apotheosis, into his Power Word Infusion.
Yep. And just go from there, right? Go from there. You got to snowball. But if he does go for the Paladin, then he has more of a fighting chance across the board. It's not an all-in type of strategy. And he does swap it out. Great start here for Miko Toshiba. Finding the Alder Attendant can save the first day of school later on for some spell burst. And that's a nice thing to have in your back pocket as the Paladin. Although we did mention there is a few cards missing from Miko Dashiba's list. Am I right? Like there are some like, this is definitely an essential. Why is it not there?
Yeah, but you have mentioned before we started the stream that this exclusion of the key cards, like you'll be surprised that there's no Hand of a Dog, there's no Blessing of Authority, there's only one Blessing of Kings. You don't have most of the buffs, you don't have Subdue, you don't have Consecration. Did say that this assures that the buffs, the huger buffs, like let's say the Librams of Hope, are going to stick whenever you play Allura into first day of school.
Yeah, but that's the thing is it works when it works, but when it doesn't, when you don't get Allura, then you're just kind of staring at a board. But nonetheless, Enrico here gonna hit the ground running, hitting the backstab on the baby Libram, and now thinking, oh look, his his first deck is getting an aftershock here. Hey Enrico, how about an evocation again?
But he didn't play the oh wait no he did play the evocation, but it was last, and it ultimately didn't matter because of how
he got it anyways. Yeah, he got it anyways. He could have won without it, but nonetheless.
He's going to trade into this one with defense singer and grab that one down.
Ooh.
Yeah.
First, I gotta say, this line of play and looking at Miko Dashiba's hand, it's not looking good. The future is very bleak for Miko, especially if he doesn't draw into more like consistent bodies. Because he has the Zealot at turn 4. I don't think he's gonna want to use the Libram of Justice anytime soon. So his next couple of draws are gonna matter. Like it's gonna be such a significant swing.
Yeah, he definitely needs your accent. Right. You just have to trust your deck sometimes. Believe in the heart of the card. I guess also say that your lucky hand is going to fix itself, just like what happened to Shampoo with last week's farewell party to Ashes About, right?
Yeah.
Reporting for duty.
Right? Just some basic stuff.
Yeah, and I do like that he's setting up for a really cheap Libram of Hope. You know, he's played 2 Aldors already. He could get the Book Thrower very soon. I mean, he's curving into it. He's got, I'll throw the book at you. He's got a turn 4 Zealot for sure. So, he's doing all right. But then again, as the Paladin who wants to go long, I don't want to sit and see myself at 2 or 3 cards this early. It's scary.
Yeah. Given the potential for this road to go half, right? You have to be very scared if you're not getting all of your draw. You're not getting all of your buffs. You don't have your Lightforged Crusader in your hand. You have to be very scared.
Oh wow! Clutch Titanic there, able to. Oh, there he is! Perfect. Look at that. Well, this does mean he has the use his space to get rid of the taunting 4-1-6, but he does have a big 2-5. So we're ramping up. He does have to draw into the Libram of Hope. Like that is going to be the value play here for Miko.
And it's currently going to get discounted by 4. So this Libram, if he does pick up the Libram of Hope early on, it's going to be potential value. But the placement here from Miko Dashiba gets punished with this generated betrayal. You hate to see it, but there we go. That's some line of plays. There we go again.
Okay.
You happen to be early. You're arranging Miko's deck.
Right? Speak of the devil. Okay. Next up, Allura. Let's see some Allura. Are we just calling out cards for them to come out?
This is the poke Celt magic. Sir Leo's Celt. He's practicing. He's practicing his magic. He's enrolled in Swallowman's Academy as an instructor somewhere, right?
Yep. I do have an associate instructor license. Kel'Thuzad gave me a part-time job here. But nonetheless, here we go. Back to the action. Interestingly enough,
he skips.
Yeah, Miko Dashiba. I guess that's the only thing he could have done, right?
Maybe he's going for something
Because the
alongside the
Libram doesn't give him value, and look at this now. The Libram of Justice is gonna do so much.
There we
Look
go.
at that. He can punch the Fey Wing.
But is that the most optimal play? You might want to Libram of Justice the Edwins, the Questing Adventures. This 5-4 doesn't mean a lot, in my opinion. Gonna mean
guess.
in the long game, but okay, you were one turn too late, but here we go. Oh, there we go. The dream.
Did it. The dream is happening, ladies and gentlemen. Although he's hoping for, if he had if he had a first day of school, this would be the nuts, right? Like the other Allura would have happened again too. But you can only ask for so much. Look at this. There's you. They're huge. They're divine shielders. There's an 8-8. This is great for Enrico. This is for Miko the Shiba. Enrico though, hoping that he got the betrayal here, huh? Like I'm pretty sure he's like,
definitely. But he has the Blackjack Stunner to just bounce this Guardian
yes,
away from this board. After this,
Yes.
he could get split. So he does deal with it. It is an 8 mana 8/8. Was it a 9 mana 8/8 with Taunt Divine Shield?
so he doesn't have saps, but he has the Blackjack Stunner. So that is a great trade-off. It's a good body. He can even.
Oh,
Don't let the door hit you.
update your right. If the Liadrin does come down, or if the Libram of Hope does come down, he'll be able to get his own Libram of Hope and value
Too
from this Plagiarize once it hits.
Oh. So he has to get rid of the Liadrin. But if he does get rid of the Liadrin as a panic attack, like if he is reading into the secrets, then he loses that fight anyways.
Yeah.
Like, there's not many cards gonna come out of that Liadrin just now. So, yep, there's a go. A wipe by Enrico, but he is down to 2 cards.
And now you actually have to ask yourself, did the Libram of
Impurity will
Hope
not
from
be
the
tolerated.
Allura count towards the Liadrin? I don't have the answer to that because I don't play a lot of Libram Paladin. I would assume that it did it. You happen to know the answer, Sergey?
I think it does. Because I think the way that Allura, the wording on Allura is cast a spell from your deck.
But from Liadrin, it does say that gives you a copy of the spells that you cast on defensive character.
That you,
Am I
all
right?
right. Possibly. Good question.
So there's one less Libram of
So
Hope here. So
many
maybe
options.
the Allura is anti-synergy towards this Liadrin. Don't you think? Okay,
Let's
so we're
see.
picking it up, right?
I would love to have the answer to that. I haven't seen it happen, despite the fact that I do try my best to play a lot of Paladin. But nonetheless, we will see later on when it does drop. Because he already plays the reload here. Oh, throws it back as well.
Impurity will not be tolerated.
So the Crusader, oh, he gets a Crusader himself.
Yeah, that
Oh,
was-
but yeah, there are neutrals. It doesn't trigger. It's just a 7/7.
yeah. But with all of the tempo lost from both of the Blackjack Stunners dealing with the big stuff, this is Enrico's game to win. He has the tempo back. He has the 7/7 and the 5/1. He will be able to take this away after this Libram of Hope gets played. Hopefully. There we go. Wait. Oh, no, never mind. So it's enemy minions. I thought that Libram of Justice worked like a quad sword.
No, that would be crazy. Yeah. So
Give me a quest.
Miko the Shiba here lives a few more turns.
With
Oh.
the pickup Shadow Step and another Plagiarize in the hand.
Oh no! Goodbye, 8/8.
Don't let the door hit you.
It's the second 8/8 as well that just disappears from this board.
Yep,
You hate to see it as a paladin.
his hand is just so full. Look at that. Sardines up in here. So
He
the
doesn't
5/1
discard.
survive. Yeah. He gets to keep the cards, I think. One more.
But I don't think there's anything more here. This questing adventure is big. You have used up your justice to
He's
deal with it,
huge.
but you do have this Pharaoh's blessing to keep you in the game somehow, some way.
Good explorer Comes prepared.
All right, looking for options here, Miko the Shiba. So yeah, it's the blessing, right? It's the blessing that really only saves him.
Okay,
Has he
this
played
keeps
all
him.
Shadow Steps? Did Enrico play all the Shadow Steps?
There's still one more shadow step.
Oh no!
The plagiarize has triggered, and there's no more secrets in play for Enrico. He
All
does
right,
get a dirty tricks, but
he gets
he
dirty
doesn't have
tricks.
no
Doesn't have
immediate
the
draw.
Shadow Step. All right, so far Miko the Shiba's still in it. Oh, this is tight.
Very much in it because the taunt has life steal.
And Divine Shield. So
And
it's
Divine Shield.
essentially what, almost 16? That's 16
16
health he's
guaranteed.
healing off. Yeah.
Exactly. Uh, yeah, this is one of the most optimal ways for Rico the Shiba to survive. I just considered he was going to Freyr's Blessing a random minion, but this Bronze Explorer was pivotal, is pivotal to keeping his dreams alive and trying to steal this game away from Enrico's huge questing adventure.
Yeah, Miko was counting. So that was him just saying the outs are just not there.
Yeah, but right now, this Freyr's Blessing into this
Too
questing,
soon.
fully, I think you should go for the blessing. The Pharaoh's Blessing on the questing so that you deal with.
And then it just keeps going, right? Oh, but he's gonna spread out. He's gonna go tall here.
But it's still just 16. And-
Go wide. Tall and wide.
Yeah.
And he still heals, so that's good for Miko. And now he has to deal with this board once more. Like, there's still problems for Miko.
Yeah, but that was a net heal of just 2 HP from the 9 attack questing, 5 attack Feywing. This is looking like Enrico's game take
Yeah.
with the counter attack for the life steal. With
Yeah.
this 8 is not gonna be enough. This board is just big. The Pharaoh's Blessing from the Plagiarize saved Enrico's chances.
Yeah.
And with-
Miko's just playing cards now. It's not enough.
oh,
He's definitely gonna get beat down by this adventurer. Yep.
yeah,
That's it.
that's game. And Enrico, after briefly moving away, a big smile on his face by hitting with this crunchy question adventure, takes the game, takes the series 2-0, and Enrico keeping the Teletigers invis, man.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Concluding this matchup, Enrico goes ahead with a 2-0 sweeping Miko the Shiba, avenging Hadyun from the first series. So we get one win for the Teletigers, one loss. Nonetheless, this is how their representative Miko the Shiba getting knocked out. Enrico moves on up. Percy, this one is a little more cut and dry. 2-0, the sweep by Enrico. Man, that priest deck, I must say, it's not feeling good in the face of lists that can just really answer back.
Yeah, and I guess it was a matter of matchups. How the priest isn't able to silence his own minions to deal the damage that was necessary. So if the paladin went in, I think it would have still been the same story because of how the freeze effects work. But all the same, I guess it all boils down to experience and how Enrico's veterancy in terms of playing the game has exuded more towards Miko. I think he has been playing for quite a while, but
Yes.
competitive experience is a key factor in probably proving the tenacity of your plays, your deck choices,
Mhm,
and deck
mhm.
building decisions.
Yeah, more about the deck choices, right? Like, because meta after meta after meta that these go tall or go wide lists can only go so long and do so much. But yeah, Enrico here brought essentially fundamentally sound lists, especially with that mage list. It reminds me a little bit of Exodia as well, right? Like, as soon as you drop Mozaki and you're able to assemble that hand, you can just steal the game out of nowhere. Essentially, that was exactly turn 10, right? Exactly turn 10 is like, it's go time. We've been durdling around for far too long. I've been freezing your minions turn after turn. It's time for me to take it. Congratulations once more to Enrico in dominant fashion, sweeping Miko the Shiba. We do hope to see Miko in our next tournaments, and of course, to keep on playing, build that collection, and maybe work on Priest. I do hope that we see this. How do we say this type of deck do well, because meta after meta, Rogue has just been around for so long. So that is some hope for us. But nonetheless, Percy, anything else you'd like to say about today's matches?
I'm very grateful for our competitors for showing up with these very standardized decks. And you know how Enrico, I guess he brings all of the HS replayed decks, and while Miko Deshiba is working his way hard into making his own decks from the budget that he has. I mean, we know that he doesn't have all of the key cards. We can only assume that he's working on a budget, but he did put up a valiant effort. And as a sportsman, that is the most important thing that you could ever bring to a tournament, is your sportsmanship, definitely. And I
And to
am
be
loving all
fair,
of our competitors.
yeah. And to be fair, like Miko Toshiba, he brought Paladin, which has been making the rounds in the ladder, and it was a good call for Enrico to take out the Demon Hunter, because that one is the deck that could essentially go for those steals, right? Like you could just win out of nowhere if you if you play out your hand and then just go for the reloads and glides. But nonetheless, smart play from both players. Again, I do think Miko Toshiba just really ran out of cards, ran out of time for game number 2, and ran out of cards in game number 1. Nonetheless, this is going to close up today's broadcast for the Predator Alliance League 2020 Summer for Hearthstone. Once more, a quick recap. It is JJ taking game number 1, and Enrico taking this one. They are moving up onto our brackets. Percy, last thoughts before we head on over and throw it back to the virtual hangout?
Or to League of Legends, which will be starting in a few.
Yes.
I guess I'd like to say that the meta still hasn't stabilized. I said last week that we're probably gonna go into combo. Now it's looking like we're going to control. Anything can happen. While this meta is still fresh, I would suggest that all of our Hearthstone fans just go wild with their decks. Just have fun. Not go. You can, of course, you can go wild with just play wild, right? But you can also just go ham, go crazy with trying out all of these awesome new decks, crafting. Probably if you enjoyed the Enrico's Mage, why not try it out? It is kind of expensive, but it is fun to play. I guess I would say I can just see just wanting to hit my opponent for 32 with the frostbolts. So yeah.
Just to add to that, and of course to close up, you can go ham, be creative, go wild, but also craft with care. All right, like you don't want to start making all of these legendaries and run out of dust and say I don't like this deck. All right, so do study. All right, it's not all play. Hashtag just not play, but nonetheless, not just play. This is today's broadcast. Congratulations to our winners.